beautiful Empresses. Welcome back to Embody Your Empress. And if it's your first time here, oh, you have a few episodes to go catch up on. So enjoy this one and then head on back. I would love to hear your feedback, leave some comments, and subscribe so that you're getting the first episode as soon as it drops every week. My name's Sarah King. I'm the host of Embody Your Empress and the founder of Empress Nation, the place you want to be if you're a woman who wants to open her perspective, learn who she truly is, and be supported while she does it. Today, we have an amazing guest. We've already been giggling away, so I'm excited to see where this conversation takes us. I would love to welcome Anu Verma to Embody Your Empress. Welcome, Anu.
Oh, so great to be here, Sarah.
So good. I was going to say, so early for me, good timing for
Yeah.
you. And I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. You are a trauma coach, a podcaster, an author, and a creator of a 12-week program to support men and women throughout their traumas. And trauma is a word. And I don't want to say that it's, air quotes, popular, but it is a word that we have taken ownership of and we are more comfortable with using. And the more that we are talking about this, the better it is for us. So I would love to hear from you before we jump into all that juiciness, who you are as a human, as a soul, and how you came to be on this journey.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the space. And it's so amazing to be able to share my story on this fantastic podcast, empowering other people, women. I'm sure there's
Well,
men listening
we
as
do
well.
have men listening as well. I know I have been surprised. I've had a 70-year-old man let me know what he thinks of an episode. And I'm like, yes, we're reaching everyone. So well, I say, woman, we are open for everyone.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So, and this is exactly the same with me as well. So, because we all know that trauma um happens to all of us, there's no differentiation in terms of like sexist or, what you do or how you were raised. So, which is why my whole work is around trauma healing, because we're all traumatized to a certain degree, whether it's from, the teacher who may have said something which has kind of stayed with us, something which might have been to do with the fact that we weren't doing very well at school. And then we've kind of carried that belief onto our adult years, or it could have been in the playground when you were being bullied, or it could have been some neglect or abandonment from home, from your parents, or it could have been obviously, childhood sexual abuse or domestic abuse later on in life. So trauma, it happens, to us all. And so in my case, it happened when I was just 3 years old. I was actually sexually abused from a tenant who actually had a room at our property. And so he had very easy access to me. And that carried on for quite a few years. And it was interesting because when I reflect back at my early years, I was just very suppressed and I didn't really have much of a voice. I lacked confidence, I hated myself. And so it's interesting when you see the patterns, because a lot of that was obviously due to the trauma. I suffered from complex PTSD later on in my years, and because I was in this trauma cycle, I was just attracting people who were damaging me even more. So I'd get into really toxic relationships with emotionally unavailable partners who had narcissism issues and depression. And so they had their own insecurity issues. And so that was just making me worse. It was worsening my trauma symptoms. And so that carried on. Like I just went from partner to partner because I was seeking validation from these partners because I hated myself. But then by being with this toxic man, it gave me a sense of worth, a sense of achievement, and it helped to validate me, even though it wasn't a very healthy validation. And we all know that the only validation that we should be seeking is from ourselves. So I had a lot to learn, and it was only really in my kind of early 30s when I just had a few incidences of attempted suicide situations in which they weren't successful. and I'm actually quite surprised because I'd end up in A&E, but I just wouldn't die. And that's when I realized that there was something more here, like there was a higher purpose. Like, why wasn't I dying? I just wanted to die. I hated my life. And then it was only kind of in my early 30s when I'd exited this horrible relationship, and I took him to court, and I won this court case because he'd financially abused me. And it was like my first ever sense of victory. And it felt really sweet. Like I felt so empowered because I'd actually won something, and it was a fight. And that's when I decided that, to do something about how I was feeling. And so I started this whole healing journey, which then uncovered all the layers of trauma that I was burying, and slowly and surely everything started to come out in the open. And then I decided to journal about a lot of the trauma incidences, because the thing is, when we are in this fight, flight, or freeze state, which is a big trauma response, we aren't very good at logical reasoning, and so we get stuck in the amygdala part of our brain, and so it just makes everything so confusing, and we just can't structure anything. And so by actually writing down, it's your prefrontal cortex which then dominates, and that helps you to then reason with any situation, and it helps you to really understand situations better. And that's what I found, that writing became a part of my healing journey. And then eventually that became a book because I'd written so many pages that I spoke to an editor, and we converted it to a book. And so my book was released, which is Victim to Victor. That was in 2020. And on the back end of that, because I was still very highly suppressed, I decided that podcasting would be a fantastic avenue for me in order to start talking about stuff, important stuff, and to try and normalize, everything that had happened to me. And so I've been running my podcast since 2021 now. And again, it's all about trauma healing. And yeah, so I guess that kind of leads me to where I am today. Now, oh yeah, I also qualified in trauma healing and many, many different modalities. And so I now help people to overcome exactly what I had to overcome. And it's great because I just feel like when you've overcome such traumatic situations yourself, then you understand people better, and you can show compassion and empathy with people, and it just helps you to then help them better. And so I just love helping people now.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing, Anu. So
Mm,
many of points in that story I can really resonate with, and thank you for being so vulnerable, talking about abuse and how that leads on to affect us later in life and takes us to those dark, dark places. It needs to be
mm,
talked about more because so many people, especially in our generation, have lived that. We have lived
mm,
through the trauma, especially of childhood, and then we've come through as adults where we didn't have the coping tools to
mm.
have awareness about it,
True.
have an understanding of how or where to start with healing.
Mm,
And then we go to those darker areas. And then, if we are fortunate, something higher stops us and we get some light shone in. So, thank you so much for sharing that. Um,
thank you.
love to start with trauma and hating ourselves. There's a
Mm.
lot of people out there that goes, there's nothing wrong with me, insert the air quotes there. There's nothing wrong with me. And yet
Oh,
they have a deep hatred for themselves. And that is normal, I guess, for them because they don't know any different. Like the concept of self love when you have been through traumatic experiences where you haven't had that opportunity for self love to grow and develop, it can be
mm,
so foreign. And for myself, I come from a childhood where I had a father who was there but actually emotionally absent, and there was no love that came from there, and that grew within me of having a trauma experience. We're going, what's wrong with me? Why am I not loved? And going out and seeking that validation in adulthood with relationships and always overgiving, please love me. And of course, attracting situations that were the contrary and reinforcing that, well, you're not loved. And if you'd asked me 10 years ago, do you have any trauma? I'd be like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I would never need to go and see a therapist. I would never need counseling. There's nothing. No, I'm great. Did I love myself? Absolutely not. Did I hate myself? Yes, I did. And I was constantly putting myself in situations that reinforced that. And then it wasn't
Mm,
until I had my own spiritual awakening that it started to crack, and I had that awareness of, oh my God, I actually look in the mirror and hate myself. I hate every part of me. And then it was a years long journey to get to the point where I am now, and I can look in the mirror and I love myself so much. And that has been a journey and a process. So I'm
mm.
wondering what your thoughts are on the trauma like response is to hate yourself, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yeah. Unfortunately, so what happens is obviously, when we undergo a traumatic incident, then we kind of bury it because at the time you probably don't even realize that it is traumatic. But then what happens is, as a consequence of that, we create like a whole worldview about ourselves and others. And so within that, worldview will be maybe some shame, some guilt, it'll be self-hate, it'll be, the lack of confidence, low self-esteem, just yeah, so there's a lot of different belief patterns that form after that the traumatic incident occurs. And then it's just a sequence of events then, because unless you are made aware of what's going on, then things will just kind of get worse, or they'll just get hidden and buried. And then that's what then creates a lot of the symptoms of trauma. So there's a lot of, we know addiction is a huge symptom as well. People, they get addicted to drugs or alcohol to numb the pain that they suffer, or just to even try and avoid the feelings that come up, which for me, it was self-hate. Yeah, because every time I look in the mirror, I just hated myself. And it was just so sad when I look back, because unless we love ourselves, how can we love anyone? How can we love our children? How can we love other people? We need to love ourselves first. And so I knew that that was going to be a huge part of my growth journey. I think it was only like in the last few years that I've actually even that I can actually say that, yeah, I do love myself, because I was constantly trying to overachieve, and I was constantly thinking that I needed more and I needed to achieve more and I needed to be more in order to be validated, to be loved. But we are who we are, and we're on the journey that we are. And now we have to try and surrender to that. We have to try and accept that we are where we're meant to be. That's really hard for a lot of people, especially when they have got like a growth mindset, or even ADHD sufferers. It's a matter of kind of multitasking, not having multiple projects, because they need to be achieving more in order to feel good about themselves. And so yeah, there's a lot to actually uncover. And it'll be interesting, for people now who are listening to this podcast, to go and look in the mirror, and what do you notice? Like, do you notice, first of all, the beautiful parts about you, or the first thing that you notice are it is your critical mindset? Like, are you criticizing yourself first? That could be quite a good little experiment now for people.
Mm,
Obviously, after this podcast, go look in the mirror and let's see. Is it?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make some eye contact with yourself. Like, can you do that to start off with? I know
Yeah.
that's challenging. Like when I've run healing circles, that making eye contact, even with yourself in a mirror, can be really confronting for people. And
Yeah.
that is that critical mind. It's that overthinking. It's the list of criticisms ready to jump in that we're well versed in. It's interesting that you mention overachieving
Yeah.
as a side step for looking at our traumas, because as a society we have glamorized overachieving. As certain industries expect overachievers to be performing for their workplace, and yet it is a trauma response.
Absolutely. Yep. Overachieving. And again, that just stems from the feeling of lack. You just don't feel like you're enough. You don't feel like you have enough or that you are enough. And so you'll go off and try and gain qualifications, or, you try and get certifications, or you'll try and do as many hours as you can in your job in order to feel accepted, and in order to try and like climb the ladder. But then there's obviously a lot of consequences to that, like burnout and dissociation. Like that's huge, because I was highly dissociated for decades of my life, where I was literally just in work mode. I was do, and I wasn't actually able to even feel my body or feel myself or my feelings. I was just numb. Like literally, it was just like I was like a robot.
Mm.
And so, but that's because I felt like I needed to work all the hours God sends in order to be accepted and validated. And that gave me a sense of purpose. And so it did, again, even that, it took me a lot of healing in order to be able to sit with myself and to understand that I don't need to keep doing, I just need to be in myself, and I need to just try and feel like my body, like feel the fingertips. Yeah, I remember like all my extremities. I never used to have sensations on my fingertips, nose, and feet because my circulation was just stopped. I mean, it's crazy when you just, when you reflect back. And even weight, I had an issue with weight where you know, I, the weight just wouldn't shift. Like I'd be exercising so much, but because of the trauma and all the baggage that I was carrying, that was like carrying as heavy fat and weight in my body. And it's
Yeah.
crazy again, when I healed, like I actually felt so lighter.
This is not the first time I've heard this. Like, there's such a
Yeah.
direct correlation to our physical body and the emotions that we store within, that hold the
Mm,
weight, to not feel what's going on, to have, excessive sweaty palms or soles of the feet, and people are just thinking that's normal. And yet, that's part of our body going, hey, hang on, wake up. We're trying to communicate with you. There's something stuck here. And like you said earlier, when you went on that healing journey and you wanted to express yourself, you did it through writing, you did it through using your voice on a podcast and opening up your throat and giving yourself a power outlet, which is such an important part of healing that can often be bypassed, is that our body is such an instant reflection of what has built up over time. And that if we can check in with ourselves, we can unravel that, just that deeper layer. Beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful. Anu, I'd love to know, on your healing journey, what were the biggest highlights? What were the biggest points that moved things for
Mm.
you? And how do you incorporate that into what you help people with today?
Yeah, beautiful. So the biggest one at first for me was Reiki healing and emotional freedom therapy, sorry, which is the tapping process.
Mhm.
And is again, these are all, very spiritual practices. Like with Reiki, it helped to unblock my chakras, because all my chakras were blocked, hence the throat chakra. I wasn't able to speak. And then I had quite a few fantastic sessions in Reiki where so much was uncovered. It was just amazing. At first, I never believed it, obviously, you don't believe it until you actually go and do it. And you're like, oh my goodness. But that's because we're all spiritual beings, we're energy, and energy needs to shift in order for us to heal, because what happens is when our chakras are blocked, our energy is blocked. and there's no flow. Hence why I was cold all the time and I couldn't feel my body. So I had to unblock everything first, which was fantastic. And then I worked on my emotions, which was through the tapping process, which helped you basically tap all your acupuncture points, and you're also verbalizing affirmations as well. And that helped to then really release a lot of the beliefs that I held about myself. And again, that was a beautiful process. As well as that, I was also doing a lot of belief work through Tony Robbins' work as well, through what he teaches. So there was a lot of limiting beliefs that were shifted, and I was I did a lot of work around understanding my values and my needs. That's really big work, and also understanding the importance of gratitude and affirmations. Like, it was so much incredible work. And again, this is exactly why all the modalities that help me, I've incorporated it into a 12-week coaching program, which I run my clients through. And I love it because I can speak from lived experience. I went through it, and it's just amazing to then be able to educate others on just how powerful, the likes of gratitude is. Like starting your day with gratitude, that has so many beneficial properties, because we're then starting the day as we mean to go on. And so just getting into a habit of just thanking, the universe, or thanking God, or thanking whoever, whatever your beliefs are, and just thanking for the fact that you even woke up today. It's like, we
Mm.
forget, how amazing is it that, we have this beautiful life. We wake up, we can breathe, we've got a heart that actually pulsates. It's just amazing. Like, just be thankful. We've got a roof over our heads, and it's just the
Mm.
little things like that. It's coming back home to ourselves. That's basically where the work is at.
Oh, beautiful. And it is so true. I forget what the number is. I saw a quote the other day on a meme, like out of whatever billions of possibilities that we were created to be here on this earth at this moment. And
Amazing.
can we be grateful just for that billion chance that it was our time right now? And I'm like, wow, that puts it in perspective, right? That
Yeah,
when you think
it
of
does.
all the could have beens, but it was you. It was you here now, and the challenges that we go through, yeah, they are hard and uncomfortable and they build us. And yet there's so many pleasurable moments that we can take stock of at any time. So beautiful. Gratitude is such an amazing, powerful tool when we harness it. I love driving in the car because I drive a lot, and just running
Oh,
through my gratitude process then, because like as a young like mum with young kids, it can be harder in the morning. So sometimes my what people would use as a morning routine gets adapted to a more suitable time. So when I'm driving the car and you're stuck at the traffic lights, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm grateful for this, grateful for that.
yeah.
I do affirmations at the same time while I'm driving as well. So
I love that.
I feel like these practices, you can find all the excuses in the world to do things that are
Yeah.
good for you. You can find the excuses, but you can actually find ways to work around them as well.
Exactly. Yes. I love
Beautiful.
it.
You
Beautiful.
mentioned values were such a key part of that journey for you. Values, I find for people who have been through deep trauma, can be a really confronting and challenging place to even open the door on, because we have been so wounded and feel so unworthy. So to actually be able to say, these are my values, these are my boundaries, these are my starting points when something hits below, I'm not going to
Mm.
tolerate that. This is what I expect from people, can be a really hard place to start, to sit down and be like, what are my values? Because it also asks, who am I as a person? Where
Mm.
do you start with your clients when they come to you at this very beginning point of their trauma healing journey?
So values definitely comes towards the end of any kind of healing journey, because before that, we need to understand, why are we here in the first place? What incident or incidents was it that caused us to suffer? And so a lot of people find it hard to even talk about that because they've obviously numbed it and they don't feel like it's anything that's affected them. But then it's only when we start to uncover more about these incidents that everything starts to make sense. It's like, I've just met many clients, like the kind of common theme is like neglect and abandonment. They didn't feel loved, or they didn't feel accepted by their own parents, and so that can then have such a knock-on effect on their self-esteem growing up and their confidence levels. And then what they'll do is try and people please in order to feel accepted, or they'll overgive, or they'll overperform, and that's all very fear-based. So, it's because they're obviously scared because they don't want to feel that abandonment or neglect ever again. And so they'll overcompensate. And so what happens then is, it's a values issue, because then they haven't really got any boundaries. They're letting people walk all over them, and they're then people are probably taking advantage of them, using them, abusing them, but then they're kind of letting them because they just want to feel that acceptance. They're so scared that this person might run away and make them feel those horrible feelings of neglect and abandonment again. So yeah, so it's huge to actually understand what the trauma incidents were. And I always like to start my sessions when I first am with a client with a timeline of events where we kind of uncover all of the events from when they were born to now, and we separate them into like flowers and stones. So the stones are the unhappy events and the flowers are the positive and happy events. And so they love it. It just helps them to understand their whole life and see, what needs to be worked on. What do we need to talk about? What healing do we need to do? And so yeah, the values work comes once they've learnt to accept, what's happened to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that imagery. No stone unturned. Let's uncover the bits that we've been hiding under. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. And I guess there's so many stones that would get added in that aren't always forefront of mind that we've been dissociating from or repressing. And then as you start to do the timeline, oh yeah, there's this memory that's coming back through and these flowers that come through as well. So what a beautiful process to take people on.
It is, yeah, and it's just interesting, when you see just the common patterns from how they were treated as a child to how they are now in their relationships. And it's just amazing when they can see it as well. Be like, oh my God, yeah. So that's why I I really am tolerant of such bad behavior in partners, and I'll keep going back to them even
Mm,
though they're abusing me, or even though they're making me feel really rubbish about myself.
mm,
I keep going back because of what happened when I was a child, and it's like, yes, there you go. And so it's only by understanding and acceptance can they then go on to forgive themselves. Obviously, you don't need to forgive other people, because forgiveness is all about ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves, and we have to let go of any shame or guilt that may have been holding us back as well. And so once that happens, then they can start to then do the personal development work, which is the next step up, about understanding what are their needs, what are their motivators, and what makes them happy, fulfilled, and what kind of relationships want to do they want to have around them? Because as we know, we become the five people that we hang out with. So, are these five people like the people that inspire you and drive you and motivate you? a lot of the times it's not, they're not when you've suffered from trauma, because you know we tend to then go after people who match our vibration, you know, and when you're low vibe, you're going to attract low vibe people. So a big shift is actually letting go of these low vibe people to then make way for high vibe people who are then going to help to support your growth and elate you and make you better ultimately.
Which can be really hard. For me, I
Mm,
found that just even going to events where there were gonna be higher vibe people there was a
mm.
really good way to me to start making that shift in my own life rather than, like,
Yeah.
cutting people out, like, straight away. I was just like, "Okay, I'm not really enjoying where I am here. Let me put
Mm,
myself in these other situations and get comfortable with being." Because again, like, jumping up that scale can be like, "Whoa, am I ready for this?" Putting myself
overwhelming.
like going to day events or going to people see speakers talking where there's going to be a beautiful energy and you get there and you go, okay, these are my people. These are the
Mm,
people I want to be around. And then social media is great with that too, because you can watch someone's content and really resonate with their frequency and vibration. And then
yeah.
that helps infiltrate and lift up your own as well. Like social media gets such a hard rap with things like comparisonitis and sort of the negative qualities, but you can use it as a tool for yourself. And I'm sure you find it with people that
Mm,
follow you online as well, that you're out there spreading a beautiful message, you're out there lifting people up energetically, and you will magnetize people that really need that.
yeah, so true. It is. Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely be used as a tool for growth and inspiration. Just make sure you keep watching those positive videos, and then the algorithms will then
Mhm.
make sure that they deliver you those positive videos. So yeah, try and steer clear of all the drama.
That's right. And then some of the platforms, you can actually go, don't show me more of these. Like if the algorithm's feeding you stuff that is not
Yeah,
good for you, tell it, I don't want to watch this. Or skip through it
exactly.
straight away because it won't show you things if you're skipping through and you're not holding on it. So you get to dictate, you get to play the game of it too. We're not just
Yeah,
completely passive. Like life,
exactly.
like we get to be involved. We're not completely passive, so we get to make the choices.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, be the CEO of your own life. Yeah, don't let anyone else dictate your life. Take
Mm,
charge.
we always have the choice. Beautiful. Oh, I know I have some Empress questions for you. I would love to know, how do you embody your Empress?
Wow. So I embody my Empress by making sure that I stick to a small daily practice. And that's really important to me because without my daily practice, I feel quite I don't feel myself. And so my daily practices are, we've already mentioned it, the gratitude, the affirmations, and also I love to like, so I start the day with those, and some days I'll just say them. Some days I'll stick on YouTube videos because there's so many beautiful YouTube videos that we can now watch and listen to. And then in the evenings, I like to end with like a little hypnosis session before I sleep. And again, that just helps to really end my day on a positive vibe. And just if there's anything that might have been niggling away at me, any issues or concerns, I'll find a YouTube track to actually tackle those issues,
Mm,
and I'll do hypnosis on that, and that's it. Problem solved. You know, whatever it is that was niggling away at me, it goes away. The power
so
of a hypnosis.
It's so powerful. And for people who have trouble sleeping, I'm like, have you ever tried putting on a hypnosis or subliminals to help you get to sleep? Because honestly, within about 3 minutes, I am gone and I wake up feeling amazing because of the reprogramming. And I'm just like, why doesn't everyone do this?
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Oh
Literally
my God.
takes the brain
So
away.
it just doesn't it? Oh, I love that. Oh my God, that's amazing. I've met someone who feels the way I do about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. Like, I'm fortunate. Usually, I'm so tired with the young kids and the life I
Yeah.
lead that I'm usually a good sleeper, but there are times, especially when life is stressful, especially when my limiting beliefs start playing up. and I know exactly what I need to do. I need to go and find something that matches what is on my mind, and it's usually something that has plagued me for a long time, and another layer needs to be shared. And yeah, I find it so powerful, so powerful.
I mean, one that I keep going back to is manifesting abundance because I just
Oh,
feel like we all need abundance in our lives, Yeah,
always, always, and such a
yeah,
beautiful, magical vibration to be pulling in. So why not?
yeah.
Beautiful. Our next question: what does your Empress energy feel like for you?
For me, it's wow, it feels like it's on fire. I guess that's a good way to describe it. The fact that, I just feel so empowered now that my values are raised, my boundaries are high. Like I will not settle for anything less. If anyone crosses the line, then I have to question if they should really be part of my life. And I'll never, like, if anybody disregards me or puts me down, then should they really be part of my life? Whereas before I would have obviously just probably let them do it and let them get away with it, like this bad behavior. But now I'm just like, no, thank you. That's not how I roll. So I love it. And obviously it makes me a bit more fiery, but people think that because of, I literally won't take any crap. But that's my boundaries. But I'm nice about it. But other people find it quite intimidating, I've been told. So that's on them. That's on them.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that we have that reaction to a woman who has a boundary? We go, whoa, she's a bit prickly. Whoa.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
not just
She's me.
being the nice girl.
Yeah.
She's actually
She's
standing up for
me.
herself.
Wow. It's crazy, isn't it?
We are still that part of society. I love it though,
Yeah.
because the more we can put a boundary in and stick to it, and like you said, you
Yeah.
say it nicely, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. We can respect that. Live your own
Yeah.
life, people. Stay in your own lane.
Raise your standards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
raise them. Why not? I mean, because when you have something, we don't need to stick to where they are. We can continue to reevaluate and up level them. They don't need to be stagnant for
Not
our
at all.
entire lives for the next 50 years.
Oh my goodness, exactly. Growth mindset. Yeah, always, uh, you know, going for more. And even in the people that you hang out with, if you're growing, then find people who align with your values and yeah, grow with them.
That's right. And people like are shocked when you say that, right? If someone's not celebrating your successes with you and cheering you on and not
Yeah,
growing with you, why do we have them with us?
exactly.
Oh,
Good
beautiful.
question.
Another question. What are your parting words of wisdom for inspiring your nation?
Well, I just want everyone to stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking what happened to me. You might have heard that one plenty of times, but it's such an important question because, oh my God, I see it. It's the victim mentality. Oh, what's wrong with me? I'm this, I'm that, I'm rubbish at this, I can't do that. It's like, yeah, let's stop with that negative self-talk and start asking what happened to me and why am I feeling the way that I am and what can I now do in order to make sure that whatever happened to me doesn't affect me anymore. And
Mm,
that's when I always advise people to try and seek help. Obviously everybody I feel could benefit from a therapist, healer, counselor, coach, and just try and uncover any of these issues that may be buried deep in you and just release them. You need to accept them to release them. And when they're released, then you'll just find this new way of life. Like you'll understand that, wow, I can actually be fulfilled and happy. Yeah. So remember what happened to me. Ask that question.
couldn't agree more. I feel like there's this resistance to allowing people into our lives to help us, and yet everybody needs it. You can't see the whole perspective of what's going on yourself. It's just the way we're built. as humans, we can't see the bigger picture. We can't see the bird's eye view. When you go to a therapist, a counselor, a healer, someone who has the space to hold for you, to support you, to ask you the questions that allow you to go deeper, this is where the magic happens. This is where the healing begins and continues. And I was speaking about it the other day because I was feeling there's so much resistance to the word coaches now. And yet Mariah Carey has a vocal coach. Like the best singers in the world have vocal coaches. The best actors in the world have acting coaches. This is not a new concept. Of course,
No.
when we are healing, when we are doing the inner work, when we are doing our mental health load, we need
Mm.
support. No one is meant to be doing this on their own. Everybody
No.
needs a mentor, a coach, a healer, a therapist, a counselor, someone who resonates and aligns with where you are to help support you and guide you through these hard moments.
Absolutely. And it's always nice to have a professional because they can guide you safely. Obviously, it's nice to be able to talk to your peers or your friends, but make sure that whoever you speak to, that they're not going to be judgmental or biased, and that, they can listen to you and, not even, you don't even need to be advised. I just feel like everyone just needs to be listened to. That's it. Just find
Yeah.
someone who actually cares. Yeah.
That's what it is. Safety is such an important word, especially when you're dealing with trauma and healing through trauma. To feel safe where you have not had any safety is monumental, absolutely monumental.
It is, it
Beautiful.
is.
Oh, I know. I love this conversation. I love it so much. If someone wants to
Mm.
continue and connect with you, what do you have going on? What have you got in the process? Where can they reach you?
Oh, amazing. So please do connect with me. So I'm on all socials, mainly active on Instagram. So you can find me under my brand name, which is Victim to Victor with a number 2, and just my name, Anu Verma. And go onto my website and have a look at how I help people to overcome their traumas and to find love. I've transitioned a lot into this because I feel like relationships is just a huge part of any trauma work, because a relationship starts with ourselves. If we can't have a healthy relationship with ourselves, how can we have a healthy relationship with anyone else? And so my coaching program helps you to have that relationship with yourself. And
Mm.
so that is my 12-week coaching program. So if you do like what you see with that, then please do book a call with me and we can have a quick discovery call to see if we can work together.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Run, people, run. It's only going to be good. It's going to be good for you.
Oh,
Remember,
thank
surround yourself with high vibrational people. Beautiful.
you. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Anu. Go back, everyone. I'd love to hear what you've taken away from this conversation. Such a beautiful, in depth one, and so relevant to what is happening in the world right now, to the people that we are, and moving through this year with ease and grace and going deep into ourselves. Thank you so much for being here on Embody Your Empress.